Hello and welcome back to my channel, and I must say there's not many things in this world that makes you feel relaxed or as relaxed as being on top of the mountain and just staring down a barrel of a anti-material rifle with supposedly explosive rounds and just waiting for the next opportunity to strike. You know, this is one of those moments where you kind of start to appreciate how far the games has come, even if it's a Ubisoft title, you know? Even for them, it's a golden moment. But what makes this game so special, or to be honest, is the way people choose to play it. And I know we talked about milsims. You know it exists, everybody knows it exists, but milsims is kind of like the Souls game type. It's its own genre, I would say, its own category. And by that what I mean is you have to play in a certain way to mimic or kind of try to be as close as possible to an actual military engagement or procedures, or call as you want, to basically make a game a milsim. By default, a milsim is actually an event for 40-hour frontline combat, which is being played with, you know, about 2 battalions of people as an enemies on each side, with airsoft rifles, authentic gear, command and whatnot. And basically you just have this for fun or a sporting event, which is all nice and cool. But when it comes to games, this is where it gets a bit tricky. Now, I'm not a milsim specialist, I'm not gonna lie. We talked about this in my previous videos way back in the day, specifically in my rant video about Ubisoft and Breakpoint. Why I would say this is completely different topics to talk about. However, I must say, what actually makes game eligible to be a milsim, if you actually think about it, to be honest, because end of the day, what are we gonna do? We will basically try to gather intel, get to the certain points in a map or checkpoints, perform certain maneuvers while, well, basically kind of trying to keep within the parameters of the mission as rules of engagement. So technically, every game that has silencers, stealth mechanics, and a customizable outfit that serves the purpose of, well, said outfit, can technically be qualified as a milsim title. But is it actually true? And this is what I've been trying to understand ever since I've played through all these games. And by all these games, I mean all the games that you see on my channel, and we are barely scratching the surface here. Which is, to be honest, kind of fair enough. There's too many games and not enough time, and also some of those games simply does not warrant to be played. Now, I don't know. Wildlands is a pretty good example, I would say, apart from Arma series, what a possible milsim game should be. However, when it comes to Breakpoint, for instance, this game does not really want you to go too much of a hassle, I would say, in terms of military jargon and things in general, which is not exactly a bad thing overall, but it might actually make you feel a bit kind of like cheated out in certain things. Now, I wouldn't say that it's a bad thing overall, but I would say there's certainly some things we can all agree on in regards how things should be. Now, I don't know, if I had to choose between Wildlands and Breakpoint, which is best suited for milsim games, I would say both. They have the same approach to the maps, the enemies, the locations, the intel. The enemy reaction might be very desired to be improved, but as we've seen it throughout the years, that is not really gonna happen, so, you know, it's just one of those things probably where we will never get it to the point where, you know, it just works. However, we might all just, end of the day, have it. So, I was sitting, sipping my beer and thinking that actually there is one very important aspect that you need to have in a Milsim game, and that is co-op. So the co-op needs to allow at least one person to be in your squad, considering if you're playing as behind enemy lines, probably you're not gonna drop about 50 guys down and let them roam the land, which will probably wage out a full-scale war. What they will do is kind of do a guerrilla style attacks. Go infiltrate, blow up, disable or enable or interrogate or kill, or basically, you know, just cause a little bit of chaos and disruption in the local services. So when it comes to this particular point, I would say there is a game that kind of fits the bill apart from authentic military stuff. And I think that game is Far Cry. And the reason why I think Far Cry 5 and Far Cry 6, maybe even Far Cry New Dawn, which kind of comes after Far Cry 5, might be a pretty good grounds for Milsim. And hear me out on this, it's a crazy idea, I know. But if you look at the weapons, we have weapons where we can actually change the ammo type, which we cannot do in either Wildlands or Breakpoint. We do have silenced weapons, which gives us tactical advantage. We do have customization options for our guns, like the sights and the colors. We do have multiple stealth opportunity giving weapons like, well, Destroying Knife for example. And if we want to go full out, we do actually have pretty good tools to do it. For instance, this Incendiary Cluster, which literally looks like a javelin. How can you not love this stuff? I mean, when it works, obviously, but you know, that is a very small price to pay. And as you can see, we have detection. So we can either be stealthy or just go guns blazing. Which, in all honesty, in terms of how enemies react on whatever you do, is rather expected again. Now, talking about the weapons, when we come down for specifically Far Cry in general, let's just take a look at the weapons available.
Lots of folks around here went to Sacred Skies when they were little. Bit of an old-fashioned...
Yeah. Okay, so I'll just quickly take a look. So what we have is a full range, exactly as in Wildlands and Breakpoint. We have the handguns that almost exactly have the Scorpion. We have the Magnum. Well, the double barrel is kind of not exactly Wildlands style. However, Wildlands does have a Jackdaw pistol, which is basically, well, what, power in a keg, like and you can be Jack Sparrow. We do have shotguns, which I'm not. Yeah, we do have shotguns in Wildlands. Sorry about that. We have SMGs, your usual 9mm ones. We do have assault rifles, quite a big variety of them, including the MK14, AK-47s. I mean, can't really say no to that. We have our sniper rifles. This looks like a SR-25, which is, well, just AR in here. But we do have our anti-material rifles, like the MVP-50 cal or SA, which is absolutely in Breakpoint because I kind of use that gun myself. Obviously, we have some other things. Oh, we have machine guns. We have bows, which we don't have in Wildlands or Breakpoint, and slingshots. We do have RPGs, or well, it's not really an AT4, it's a RAT4, but you kind of see the point, which we have in Breakpoint, we don't have in Wildlands. So, to be fair, we can actually go to town here. Now, when it comes to attacking the places in general, like when you're trying to liberate something, so let me just quickly find the place and take a look at how enemies react. Shall we? So I have successfully found an unliberated outpost, which is a Far Cry menace. But at the same time, we do have a mode of transportation, which is a chopper also. we do have free approach. We're not limited by, you know, go down this road and attack the outpost. That means we can pick our battles. At the same time, the game does provide a wingsuit and a parachute, so we can literally halo out exactly as in Wildlands or Breakpoint. Switch over to the wingsuit, go for more tactical approach, which is, well, whatever you want to use, and just pull the chute. Which, to be fair, is not a bad thing. At the same time, obviously we do have a grapple function, which, oh my god, will be so goddamn useful in Ghost Recon titles, but again, you know, the Spec Ops are not really that specky ops. Now, when it comes to engagement, this is where things get a little bit interesting, because in comparison with Wildlands and Breakpoint, and I'm leaving out all the Arma series for a very good reason, the way your enemies will react to you are basically very, very dependent on who sees you, how far, and so on. So we do have silenced weapons, so we can actually take them by surprise. We can also have some throwables to take them down quietly, so we don't spoil the surprise for, well, everyone. We can have a very good vantage point, so we can take out everyone in peace and quiet, and we can choose our approach. So, since we are here right now, we have a couple of these guys. How about we just take a pot shot at this guy. No one's alerted, no one's alarmed. And we have detection. So, now we can safely move away, do a very wide circle, exactly as we would actually do. So you see, they do call for reinforcements, because we do have alarms, so we have alarm system. They're gonna call reinforcements, and probably, I'm expecting, they're gonna investigate my last known position, which is exactly as they do in Wildlands and Breakpoint. So, if your approach on those supposedly military simulations are equal with the have a fun and blow everything up game, I must say, there must be something there. Also, yes, both of these titles, well, all of these games are actually coming from the Ubisoft, but at the same time, as you can see, it's still possible to play it that way. We do have an aim over the cover system. We can injure all those enemies.
Reinforcements coming in from the east.
And we can be spotted.
Gotta move now.
Also, enemies do have mortars, and they have a lot of other things. We do have takedowns as well, so to be fair, I'm not entirely sure why people are not playing Far Cry as a milsim when it comes to it, because you have all the tools, you have explosives, you can set up C4s and mines, you can make stuff on a go. Isn't that what creative milsims are all about? Headshots deal instant damage. The only addition is the flames. Ow. And you can also die if you get inflicted too much damage, which you can again buff out with perks. Now, obviously, when we talk about Far Cry series in general, no one will ever say, yeah, but that's not really military. So, first of all, in Far Cry 5, we are playing as Rook, which is a law enforcement deputy. So this guy, I don't know, it probably doesn't apply to everyone out there, but in most cases, if you're in law enforcement, you do get weapons training, you do get advanced tactics or some sort of tactics that you can apply in real life. Maybe he's even in a local SWAT, which would technically make him a Spec Ops soldier. So why not?
Reinforcements inbound! Praise the Father!
Now let's see how the gunplay looks and works here. First off, they're hot on my tail, I'm being spotted from time to time. And we are in a first person, so obviously it's a first person shooter. It's not necessarily a bad thing, as long as you know what you're doing. You still need situational awareness to know what, who and why. You can still break line of sight, which is not bad at all, and we can even have smoke grenades to cover our escape routes or to give us an edge when approaching a target or making a surprise attack. And every time, and to be honest, as much as it sounds as a joke, I must say I'm honestly pretty serious about this. This started as a joke in one of my streams in terms of, oh, but can you play this as a milsim? And to be fair, when it comes to requirements for the milsim, you only need the environment. The outfits, yes, well, that is something that might be desired for in Far Cry series, but to be honest, if you could dress up as a SWAT officer or Delta Force, you know, you probably would take out all this country in about a day anyway, so. And imagine the possibilities of co-op. In co-op play you can actually tag your targets, as in prioritize them. I'm looking at this particular target, take him out first. So one of you can go ground level, one of you can be Overwatch, and you can actually play up to 4 people in one session, so to be fair, this is not bad at all. Little bit of wet work there. So detection and damage is very, I would say, inconsistent. Even if you play on a hardest difficulty, it's not going to be that hard on the first playthrough. It will be very hard, however, if you are playing on New Game Plus. So if you want to go for a real Far Cry experience, I would say just go for that. Also, you can always have some fun, which is always appreciated in games like this. Also, it does look cool as fuck.
Backups approaching from the east perimeter! Backups coming by plane!
So when all hope is lost, you can just shoot people.
I'm gonna strafe these sinners.
That might have been the wrong rocket, to be honest, but anyway. This should be the right one. How many times someone just shoots an RPG at you? Let's be honest, guys. And this was the most sloppiest outpost takedown ever. And how many outposts you have? almost none of them are the same, and you have different criteria. You can use the animals, you can free the hostages, you can just rain from above, you can go in sneaky, you can actually drive in with a truck with an LMG on it, exactly as in Wildlands. So why not?
Good work there, Deputy. Eden's Gate was taking all the scrap metal from those rails to reinforce their bunkers. Huh. You know, that's not such a bad idea. Maybe.
You know, all this. Obviously, I've beaten the game. Let's be honest. It's not like I'm, you know, completely out of the loop here with the game itself. But as you see,
Look into that.
I don't know. I'm kind of curious how many other games you can play as a milsim.
To ring our home of this cult.
I hope he will shut up. Thank you very much. So, what do we need for milsim? We need at least a very basic stealth mechanic, where enemies see you, they can spot you, but you can break line of sight and they can't just home in on you. You need silenced weapons that actually work, like in terms of conceal your position. Preferably, you would need a takedown. So Far Cry does provide takedowns up close and personal, so you can actually sneak up to someone and kill them without everyone else knowing. So yeah, I'm kinda curious why this game was never considered for a milsim, considering this is an open world. When it comes for weapons, you don't even need the background of being a Spec Ops soldier to, you know, do all the weapon stuff, because if you grow up in Texas, I do believe you will have more than enough experience in regards handling any kind of weapon in comparison to any other country in the world, Europe specifically. And you have cool transportation. Now, it does apply only for the Far Cry 5, New Dawn and Far Cry 6, because the main missions can only be played in co-op for these particular titles. Far Cry 2, 3, Far Cry 1, 2 and 3 and 4 does not allow that, which is a very interesting take from the Ubisoft. Also do have all the wildlife, like poisonous snakes and cougars, bears and mooses and whatnot, and bisons coming after you, so you actually have more to deal with than just one cartel or one wolf base. So again, it just blows my mind why people are not thinking about this as a possible opportunity. And story-wise, you can make up your own story as well, and it would actually make sense. You are dropped in a hostile cult that has taken over all official services. All communication is lost, or you suspect it's corrupted, or bought over, or not safe, and you need to get someone in to sort things out. And when it comes to the map, it's not big, but it will keep you busy for a good while you clean out all the outposts, which, well, to be honest, I never bothered to do in this replay. But you can approach, you can try different things, you can actually learn communication and stuff like this without getting severely punished. Finish the game on New Game Plus. So, why not? Also, I'm not even going to talk about DLCs. As you saw, the DLC Lost on Mars was a bit of a hit of a mess, and the other ones are not even worth mentioning unless you like, stealth bonus program, which is the Darkest Hour. But anyway, I do believe this game does have a potential, and maybe, and I really hope that maybe, I will persuade Mr. Death to play with me at least one mission as a milsim on Far Cry New Dawn, which we're currently playing through on Twitch, and see how it goes. Maybe he will agree, probably not, but I'm still gonna try. Anyway, this is all I had for you guys today. Thanks for watching, and as always, see you next time.